Phone doesn't want to stay up. Oh. My coffee's super full. It's it's full all the way to the brim, so I have to be careful. I have to strategize a little bit how I'm going to get this first sip of coffee. Let's see. I'll slide it across the table. Good morning. I'm trying to slide my coffee across the table because it's too full. There we go. Good morning. So glad you guys are here. Good morning, good morning. Kelly has your coffee. Awesome. Mmm, that's tasty. Hey, there's Lyle. Lyle didn't get up early. Just never went to bed. Cup of tea in England. Sarah, do you put like cream and sugar in your tea, or do you just drink it black, or um, is it black tea? Hmm. Oh, that's good. So I still have that contrast right now because Florida, super chilly right now. It's about like 50 degrees or so, 55 degrees in Florida. Good morning, good morning. So I had a very interesting question. I get a lot of questions. Um, 3 in the afternoon, perfect, in Thailand. I typically don't drink coffee after like these 2 cups. Every now and then I'll have a latte with Lyle. Good morning, Nick. Thanks for joining. Awesome sauce. Okay, great. Just milk. Some people have sugar. Awesome. I had never put milk in tea before. I tried it and I'm like, yeah, this is not too bad. Well, it was like a cream or something. I don't think it was just milk. Mm, it's the contrast. It's the outsideness is chilly, and then when you take the drink, you get that warmness going down. Ah, that's great. Embrace the contrast. So I had mentioned during certain points dropping little nuggets, right? And someone picked it up and they said, Ernest, what do you mean? What does it mean when information becomes toxic? Like, how could that even possibly happen? And, what do you look for? How do you know when information is becoming toxic? What does that even mean? So this is something that I realized in my life at a certain point. I was always reading. I did this. Good morning. Oh, I'm always well. Deborah, thank you. I pretty much always feel fantastic. And when I don't, I'm still at peace, which is fantastic in its own way. So, in my life, um, I was speed reading, which means I was putting books down like it was going out of style. Lyle can attest when I was working at the movie theater, always had a book in my hand. Every 2 days it would be a brand new book, at least every 2 days. I was constantly taking in information. Constantly, constantly, constantly. Constantly reading books. When I realized there was this thing called YouTube, I actually just realized that recently, but, I started watching videos. People started sending me videos. I started getting into conspiracy theories. It seems like that's a part of the pattern when you start to wake up from the chains of social conditioning. Mm, that's so good. So I know there's probably some of you guys out there that you can identify this. It's a big rabbit hole, and it goes infinitely deep. Good morning, good morning. Yeah, I didn't realize there was a YouTube. People, I mean, I knew it was there, but I just didn't know like what the hype was all about for a while. I wasn't really doing much on the internet at that time. I didn't really enjoy looking for information on the internet. So I would go to libraries, I would read studies. I have a very scientific mind, so I really enjoyed reading, the real studies, the actual study. It's like if you go to C-SPAN and you actually listen to what Donald Trump said, as opposed to going to CNN and just seeing all the little bits and pieces. Not saying that, CNN's bad or anything like that. Of course, I don't care. Social conditioning, I have never viewed social conditioning as necessarily a bad thing. When we live in a society, it's just the way it is. That's the contrast that we just absolutely have to embrace. And a lot of people don't embrace it, they fight it. And then they fight it with more information. So now they're fighting information with information, which just leads to an overload of information. Good morning. Hi, Dorian. So when does information become toxic? Is that even a thing? So I like to teach the laws of the universe. And from these laws come principles. And I'll be the first one to say that Abraham Hicks did not invent the law of attraction. It existed thousands of years before. As long as there's been anything, there's been the law of attraction. Now, we have a mind to verbalize it. We have a mind to put it into words. We have a mind that has the capability of communicating it to other people effectively, somewhat. And Abraham has an amazing way of delivering the information that is more clear than some of the other teachers have attempted to. The other... but there's still actually some out there that are, delivering the information in a very clear way. We can look back to the ancient masters and see that they were also working with the law of attraction. I read a verse out of the Tao Te Ching yesterday that was just, without saying law of attraction or any of that stuff, it was talking about it. Like it was clear as day. Pretty unmistakable. And now I know there's a lot of people that are going to be maybe checking into Ernest's live feed and they're going to be like, law of attraction, what the hell is that? That's okay. I'll break all of that down eventually. I'll get back to the very basics of what law of attraction is, the mind creating reality. All life on earth and the universe itself is just a perpetual stage of creation. It's just creating creations, which therefore then create. Isn't that cool? What's not cool is when the creation starts like trying to destroy itself, getting in its own way, getting down on itself, thinking it's not good enough. We are the universe observing ourselves. Now, how insane is it to be the universe observing ourselves and then attempting to damage ourselves, hurt ourselves, get down on ourselves, limit ourselves? I'm not a big fan of limits. I have some resistance to that. It is what it is. I embrace it, and that's how I evolve forward. That's tasty. That's awesome, Deborah. Yeah. Also, if anybody wants to share this live, you can. If Lyle wanted to share it in any specific groups, then he could. That's one cool thing about doing Facebook Lives now on my own page. They can be shared. So I realized something through the Abraham Hicks group. And first of all, I'll just say that this group has a lot of loving people. a lot. I mean, I met almost all of you through that group because I saw that this is an amazing group of people. I mean, it has like 117,000. So, I mean, they can't all be in alignment, right? I would be very surprised if 117,000 people in one group were perfectly in alignment with one another. That would be a very shocking thing to me. Hi, good morning. Thanks, Sharon. So I was seeing contrast from this group. You know, the person running the group, Willie, sent me a message and said that for every person that follows me, he gets a complaint. I'm not going to operate from the Abraham Hicks page anymore, no. This contrast has shown me that I've outgrown it. That I have a lot to share. And, you know, a lot of the people that are around us are also, you know, growing, and they also have a lot to share. So we made our own group, Warriors in the Garden. And the warrior mentality has nothing to do with violence. It has nothing to do with fighting. But then again, of course, it can be applied to that because universal principles can make everything better. If you apply the law of attraction to everything that you do, well, of course, the magic will happen. So I'm still going to share these lives on to the Abraham Hicks group because, I mean, a lot of people were benefiting. You know, there were a lot of people that were really resonating with my message. And really all my message is the application of the things that we're already learning. So I'm not out there just to disseminate the law of attraction information in terms of Abraham Hicks. I mean, I can. Warriors in the Garden, Deborah, is the group that I made. And I say it's our group because... So this is an example. I wanted to give you guys this example. When I see something that doesn't resonate with me, I don't judge other people. Good morning. Okay. Have good yoga. I love yoga. I only do about 5 yoga poses, but I do them almost every day. I do downward dog every day. And finally, my back is straight. Sometimes. And so, you know, the contrast of the Warriors in the Garden group, you know, from the Abraham Hicks group, it was showing me something. It was showing me about my next desire, about where I need to go next, how I need to best evolve. Because I was like, you know, this is weird. The admin is bringing this into my field of perception. I didn't attract this. But then I did, and at the same time. That's how it works. You know, the contrast is there for me to embrace, for me to learn from. And then I just started thinking to myself, you know, and I start evaluating what I'm doing rather than judging other people. That's how I quiet my ego. I make humility and acceptance. I don't want to judge anybody. What good does that do me? How does that serve me to judge another person? And by judge, I mean place personal opinions on other people. You know, how does that benefit me? What does that really do for me in the long run? And I'm always tending to my garden first and foremost. That's the rule of thumb. Hi. So information becomes toxic when people cling to it, when they become dogmatic, when their mind doesn't bend like bamboo. You know, bamboo is flexible, but it doesn't just snap in the wind. So yes, I fully believe in the teachings of Abraham Hicks. I do. I have found no flaw. And anytime I've had questions, you know, people like Nick Combs, he can make it clear for me. He really understands it very, very well. And not only that, he disseminates the information very clearly for me. So there's been times where I've been a little unsure about Abraham's teachings. Like I just have a little bit of a question in the back of my, and I don't even have to ask him. He'll just post something the next day that's just right in line with the question that I had. So I do believe in the teachings of Abraham. I also believe in the teachings of Lao Tzu. I believe in the teachings, for the most part, Confucius. I believe, separated from religion, I believe in the teachings of Jesus Christ. Because the teachings are golden. You know, the nuggets that they're dropping are there. I see them. they're shiny, and I pick them up and I put them in my pocket, and I learn. And I don't just learn by accumulating the information. I learn only when I learn to bridge the gap between theory and application. That's the ticket, you know. That's how we evolve. Not just taking in more information, because information is just a description of what it is we're trying to apply. Good morning, Donna. Hi. Lyle, experience, yes. We learn when we apply in our experience what we're learning. Ireland, that's awesome. Isn't the internet cool? I just think it's really cool. I feel really appreciative of the internet, how we can communicate like this across continents. That's awesome. And we can drink coffee together and stuff. That's awesome. There's just so much to be grateful for when you really look around, when you really just, this is it. This coffee right now, the smell of it, the aroma of it, the flavor of it. If we treated everything like this, like what would emerge from that? Prague. That's awesome. Tasty, tasty. So, we can see a lot of people. I know that a lot of us have friends on our Facebook, you know, that may not understand the law of attraction. We can see other people's Facebook posts. A lot of people really enjoy accumulating information, and that's okay. You know, that's a stage, right? We all need to go through that. We all need to read and, you know, study a little bit, identify with the spiritual teacher a little bit. But then what happens? What happens when we cross that precipice of imbalance? Because I teach that balance is power. That if we, and again, when I say power, I never mean power over other people. I just mean this personal energy of confidence. That moment when you're like, you know what? I can do anything I want to. There are no limits. There are no boxes. And you know, children, when they realize this early enough, they become astronauts. They become presidents. They become world leaders and people who help change the world without trying to change anything. So the resistance that I was meeting in the Abraham group was just showing me, you know. It was just showing me, what do I need to do? What is my real desire? My desire is to not be in a box. I don't want to be in somebody else's box. So Warriors in the Garden group, if you have a service, share it. If you have a story, share it. You know, if you believe in a religion that is benefiting you and you want other people to know about it, share it. I want you all to just be you. I'm not trying to change you. I don't want anybody to change. I would be trying to force that. I would be trying, and I'm not going to. I don't want to do that. I just want to share what's worked for me. And you guys can just pick up the nuggets. Pick up the tools that seems to fit, that seems to work. And then just leave the rest. You know, we don't have to judge one another. I don't want to judge you. I don't want to say that you're right or you're wrong. I don't want to say that the way I believe is the way that you should believe. I don't want to put you in a box. I don't like being in one. So why would I try to inflict that on other people? So when does information become toxic? Well, we can start to see the signs of it without judgment. Just in general. Let's just keep this in general. We don't want to get, you know, too specific, because then we start to cross that very thin line between simple observation and adding our opinions to it. You know, I see somebody walking with a limp, I can say, they have a limp. And because I understand the human body through studying martial arts, I can say, you know, that's because they have an issue in their hip. I can see that. That is an observation. But now when I say, you know, they're lazy, or, you know, they should do this or they should do that, when I start placing opinions, then I have just crossed the divide between observation to judgment zone. And I don't want to be in judgment zone. It doesn't make me feel good. You know, now I'm trying to tend to other people's gardens, and I just don't have enough time for that. There's 1,440 minutes in my day. I want to use them wisely. I want to maximize the human experience. And I have found that that's not being done when I'm just trying to exist in somebody else's experience by judging what they do. Good morning. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'm still going to be doing coffee time with Ernest every morning, dropping little nuggets. I have so many ideas. I get a lot of questions in private message, and that's great because, I can answer them one by one by one by one. I love Q&A. And my book is coming along, so I'm really excited about that. So I hope you guys like it. I'm going to be just dropping chapters here and there so that you guys can see what is Ernest talking about. Well, I'm giving my experiences. These are the things that are unique to me, right? I mean, I can continue to disseminate information, but that's been done. I mean, there's so... I just laugh like Eckhart Tolle. I don't know. I just did a... I don't know if that's good or bad. That's alarming. Hi, from Florida. Chilly Florida today. I don't know how it is in California. I'm sure it's beautiful. It's nighttime still in California. Boy, you're at like 1 in the morning. You're probably staying up late though, right? Alana? So when does information become toxic? We can see, we can observe the signs. So when information has become toxic is when people start to cling to one spiritual teaching or one spiritual master and just the words. We see that done with the Bible. What happens? They start to argue. Truly I tell you today, you will be with me in paradise. Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise. Those are two completely different sentences based on a comma placement. Write it down. Put that comma before and after the word today. It's a completely different sentence. But guess what? Hebrew didn't use commas. They didn't even use spaces in between the words. Why would we argue about that? Well, because it's significant when you're trying to control the information, when you're trying to cling to the information, when it becomes dogmatic. How do we know when it's becoming dogmatic? Because we want to fight to defend it. Remember my analogy? The illusion, and then we start to cling to it? You can't have my illusion. I'm going to fight to defend it. So much so that I'm going to get all my buddies, and we're going to get a bunch of guns, and we're going to fight you. Because we're right and you're wrong. That's when information becomes toxic. They're not applying it. If they were applying it, they wouldn't be tending to other people's gardens as much, right? So when someone is jumping into the Abraham Hicks group and they're bringing people down, they're making people feel bad. Oh, you're just a level. Oh, because there's these 5 levels. There's these 5 steps, right? In Abraham's teachings. Well, you're just a level 2er. You can't understand. I've seen this. And I'm just like, really? You say that you're operating from level 5, but yet you're intentionally talking down on another person? Are we really crossing the divide between theory and application when we do that? I don't want to do that. So when they start sending me hate messages, I send them love messages. I'm like, I love you right now. I can't control your psychological drama. I said that to Willie. I'm like, he thinks that I'm reaching, and that what was the word he used? I used the word reaching energy, seeking energy. He's like, what are you trying to do? I'm like, what are you talking about? Have you watched any of my videos? Have you even spent 5 minutes listening to anything I have to say? Why not? Where did we come up with these conclusions about me then if we're not even listening to my message? Yeah, I post videos of me doing martial arts because I'm trying to give a visual representation of what it's like to be in the moment, to move with the moment. Now, I don't know why he's doing that to me. I don't really care. I told him that. He's like, why does it feel this way to me? I'm like, how the fuck should I know? I don't live in your garden. I'm not tending to your garden. The way that you feel about things is the way that you feel about things. I wish you didn't, because I'm not doing that. I have no ulterior motives. I think anybody that listens to me, you guys can tell. I just want to share. And the Abraham Hicks group is a great medium for me, or it was, because people were up early in the morning, and that's when Ernest is up. And you guys know this is true because I'm not posting my videos in a bunch of different groups. I'm not doing Facebook Lives in a bunch of different groups. I'm not advertising in a bunch of different groups. I found a group of people I liked and I wanted to share with, and that's what I was doing. But it looks different to people when they're allowing themselves to be influenced without really thinking for themselves, without really seeing for themselves. So how can you judge me if you've never even watched any of my videos? What gives? Where is that even coming from? So I don't judge people, though. You know, I know that Willie is trying to manage a group that has 117,000 people in it. I mean, I can't even understand, because I've never done that, what that must be like. But let's say the admin that kicked me. So they say that advertising for free is against the rules. Number one, it's not. It's not in the rules at all. There's nothing in the rules that says I couldn't advertise for free or a free service. And then they tell me to remove it. And I say, okay, I'm happy to remove the post. Namaste. And before I could remove the post, I was already kicked. So do we see that there is a clear difference between the theory that we're talking and the application that we're actually doing? Now, I'm not going to judge that person either. They may have been having a bad day. Fuck, I don't know. They may have just stubbed their toe right before they saw my post. Has anybody else seen people advertising free services in the Abraham Hicks group? Because I have. I've seen people advertising their groups in that group and they don't get kicked and it's still there. So what gives? These are all indications of something, right? They're little breadcrumbs that I can follow because I'm very aware. I'm able to step back and just see the full picture. Now, judgment-wise, I don't do that. You know, I'm not gonna start judging and saying that, oh, you know, they're terrible people or they don't understand. I don't know what the fuck they understand. But I can definitely see that the way that they're driving is a little bit, you know, all over the place. Yeah, for readings, for all kinds of things. It's in the rules not to post anything about card readings. Actually, I did, now that you mention it. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Nomi. I have a group, and it's called Warriors in the Garden. Now, don't let the word warriors, you know, turn you off, because what we're doing with warriors is it's just an attitude. You know, it's just taking responsibility. Ah, Naomi, I like that. Thank you. So I have started my own group, right? There is a lot to manage, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to manage, so I'm not going to judge Willie for the way that he treated me. I'm not going to worry too much about that. I don't know why. It doesn't really make any difference to me. But I can definitely see when there's a disconnect between the things that we talk about and the things that we actually do. There's a big difference. That's when information becomes toxic. When you're not applying it and you're just clinging to it and you're forcing it on other people. You're forcing your understanding on other people. So I get a lot of private messages. And I'm not going to say, you know, who any particular person is because, you know, that would be rude. I don't want to be rude to anybody. But I had somebody send me a private message and, you know, they're like, I need help. I'm not making any money. You know, I'm not finding the satisfaction in my life that I want to. You know, do you have any advice? And I'm like, of course. You know, here's some advice. Cha, 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 cha. But then I see them in the Abraham Hicks group confronting everybody with the teachings. You know, they're basically, any question that's asked, they're one of the first people to jump in and answer it in a very sharp way. Almost to the point where it feels a little abrasive. And I can imagine to the other person it does. They're like, whoa, back up a second. So this person is talking about how they're not applying the law of attraction, but yet they're in the Abraham Hicks group, you know, dropping words like it's going out of style. In martial arts world, we call that keyboard warrior. You know, the greatest master on earth, the greatest kung fu master could post a video, and there's always going to be that guy that says you're doing it wrong. You know, your knee is slightly past your toe. Greatest grandmaster ever. You're doing it wrong. And then you look for that person's videos, and they're nowhere to be found. We see nothing of them. They're hiding. Now, what does that mean? Fuck, I don't know. You know, why are they doing that? There could be a laundry list of reasons. I have absolutely no idea. But I can observe the behavior. And the behavior, in general, is just an indication that they are not crossing the divide between theory and application. Theory and application. Which do we want? Which has more value? Well, sometimes you have to have the theory before you have the application, but that's not always true. Have you ever met somebody who is just like super calm, super relaxed? They just seem to really love life. They're off doing their thing, and you're like, wow. You ask them, like, who are your influences? And they're like, what? You know, did you read Abraham? You know, you're attracting all of this stuff. You know, you're manifesting like a maniac. You're actualizing everything that you've ever wanted. You learned this from Abraham, right? And they're like, what the fuck is Abraham? Like, what are you talking? Like Abraham from the Bible? Like, I don't understand. So some people just get it. Because it's the law of how the universe works, and some people can just see that. Some people can just see that balance is power. Good morning. Hi, Kate. So I see what other people are doing, and rather than judging, I go into my own experience. Ernest, what does this teach you? What is this showing you about your desire? What is this showing about where you want to go with what you're doing, with your information? Do you see how I do that? Rather than judging another person, I just evaluate my own garden, and I tend to it. So, in my group, I don't want to be that way. I don't want to have a bunch of dogmatic rules. I don't want to cling to just one teaching. Naomi, I really like, have you ever seen iRobot? The 3 robot laws? And then whenever, he's like, you have to ask the right question. I like that movie, at least in that regard. So when you start to cling dogmatically to something, then there is maybe a chance that your information is becoming toxic. When you argue with somebody about information, maybe it's become toxic. You know, maybe it's become toxic to you to the point where, you know, it's doing more bad than good because there's no balance. So, if you can see on the phone, I'm kind of doing like a graph almost. But let's say we're taking in information, but applying very little. There's a great imbalance there. And that's when it becomes toxic. If we can learn to do this, now we're more balanced. And now if we're all application but no knowledge, how do we share it? How do we disseminate it with another person, if that's even something you're interested in? How do you respond to people who say they're coming from a place of love, but their actions... I can feel love, Melanie. Love is not abstract. So if I say, Melanie, this is coming from a place of love, but... So there was somebody, and they just said the rudest shit ever, right? They said that the only reason I was in the Abraham group was to push book sales. Well, I'm like, first of all, I haven't even written the fucking book. Like, how do I push book sales when I don't even have a book? Like, what are you talking about? Where did you get this? Oh, and the person said that because I wasn't going to cite Abraham Hicks in my book. Why the fuck would I? I've been applying the law of attraction for years. Look at the post that I posted yesterday, 6 years ago. We make ourselves miserable, or we make ourselves joyous. The effort is the same, and the effort really is the same. It doesn't seem that way because we've built the momentum of the negativity, of the difficulty. So yeah, now it's not. But originally it was the same. It was just a simple choice. But after you've gained so much momentum, now you have to counterbalance that. So let's look at that from the standpoint of physics, inertia. If something is traveling at 50 miles an hour and it's in space, how much energy do you need to bring it to a stop? 50 miles per hour in space. That's really fucking slow in space, but it's just an easy equation. So you're going 50 miles an hour. First of all, an object that is in motion tends to stay in motion. An object at rest tends to want to stay at rest. And there's no such thing as rest, by the way, because the universe itself is expanding. Wow, there's those words again. The universe is expanding. Expansive. My mind is expanding. My energy is expanding. So if an object is traveling at 50 miles an hour and we want to stop it, we have to counter it with equal and opposite force. But if we want to start going the other direction, we need to double the force in the other direction. And by force, I don't mean actually, yeah, it is kind of pushing against, right? Because you're talking about space, you're talking about physics. So of course, if you've gained the momentum of negativity and you've made things more difficult by getting in your own way, if you want to, turn that around, it may seem difficult, but it's not. Enter the teachings of Abraham. Enter the teachings of Lao Tzu. Just allow, just open. Let it all happen. Let it all go. Morning. From Ireland. I think there's a couple people from Ireland. You guys should get together, hang out. So my new group, Warrior in the Garden, it's our group. We're doing new ambassadors. These will be like admins. They'll do Facebook Lives if they want to. Anybody can jump into my group and do a Facebook Live. And if you talk about something that I don't agree with, I'm going to listen. I'm going to allow you to be you. When you say something to me, I'm not automatically judging it and evaluating it based on my own experience. Why would I do that? That would be tending to your garden and my garden. That's insane. I don't do that. So, I don't know who to pick on. I'm not going to pick on anybody in here. Lyle. So if Lyle is like, Ernest, I learned this new teaching and I'm sitting here listening, I'm just sitting here listening. I don't want to evaluate your mind. I don't want to judge and label what it is you're telling me. I just want to love it and respect it and allow it to be. When Lyle comes at me with some bullshit, I'm just like, okay, yeah. Now, how is that helping you, Lyle? How is that helping you cross the divide between theory and application? If it's not, you're just adding to this bank. And I don't even have to judge it, I don't even have to do that. So I have observed in the Abraham Hicks group that they're becoming dogmatic. And not just that group, but there's a lot of them that are just even more strict. Like, you say anything, the post has to be approved before you can even post it, So there's somebody that's deciding whether or not your information is worthy of posting to the group. So are you guys seeing that? What governments do that? Usually they have evil dictators. Usually they have communist type governments where they suppress information. What you say must be approved by the governing body. How do people not see these patterns? I do. I see these patterns. When information becomes toxic, we start to cling. Can you follow the teachings of Abraham without being trapped by the teachings of Abraham? You're not trapped when you're applying them because you're too busy applying them. When you get into this level 5, this step 5, you stop judging other people. You stop reacting to other people. So how do I deal with another person? First of all, I realize that I'm not dealing with anybody. If Lyle comes up to me and he starts just, yelling at me, cussing at me, how do I deal with that? I don't. It just goes right through me. I'm not going to make his psychological drama mine. So all there is to it is that I tend to my garden. I don't have a reaction to what he's saying. In your journey, have you ever decided that some people aren't safe to be around in your life? By safe, I mean projecting their negative. Melanie, at certain points, yes, I felt that. Because I was still tending to other people's gardens. I was allowing other people to affect me. Allowing. It's a choice. But then there was a point where I stepped back and I was like, now wait a second. So, did that person make me angry? Did he make me angry? How does another person make me angry? And so I stood back and I was just like, wait a second. You know, I read this information and it says nobody is doing anything to anybody. Now that's information. Cool. But then I had this realization where I was actualizing it in my life and I could see it. And I was like, whoa, it's actually, you know, that's true. Nobody is doing anything to me outside of physical touch or a gun to my head. Good morning, Shayna. So, boom, Donna. That's the word, responsibility. I took responsibility for my garden. So do you see where I'm coming from? Warriors in the garden. We take responsibility for our time here on earth because it's better to be a gardener, a warrior in the garden, than a gardener in the war. Actualizing. Now that word comes from Abraham. You know, that's where I heard that word. Nobody uses that word. They like the word manifestation. But realizing, realizing, actualizing. I like to look at words and really pick them apart. So, when does information become toxic? When you're not flexible anymore. When you start to tell other people they're wrong. When you start to offer your ideas when people never asked for them. When you start soliciting modifying a behavior when nobody asked for it. You know, the sage doesn't do that. I'm not going to just randomly message Shayna and just be like, look, you're fucking up. This is what Abraham says and you're not doing it. Why would I do that? How does that benefit? How does that help? How do I deal with the situation if you happen across a person mistreating another person or animal? So, Pauline, now do you mean physically? If somebody is physically trying to hurt another person or animal? Or do you mean psychologically? Because psychologically I have nothing to do with that. I'm not going to interject force. I'm not going to try to control that situation. However, if it's physical, then I feel obligated to help. So if somebody is beating the shit out of a dog, I'm going to stop that. It's in my field of vision for a reason. If I see somebody, you know, threatening another human being, trying to hurt another human being, I don't allow that. I'll do what's in my power to stop that. In the moment, right here, right now, no words. And typically, when you study martial arts, you find that the law of attraction applies to our awareness. I can actually stare somebody down with a look. So there were some people in my neighborhood as I was walking, and it was clear to me that they were looking for people to rob. I could tell. I could feel the energy. So they would slow down a few yards behind me, and I use expanded awareness when I walk, so I could hear the car slowing down. See, Naomi, we're getting into abstract idealism. You know, what you're questioning, how does that help me cross the divide between theory and application? Did the dog choose the suffering? Like I get where you're going with that, because we want to trivialize things to a certain point. Like, I'm not going to think about any of that. What is this showing me? What is this moment showing me? You know, this dog, I love this animal, and it's a product of my attachment. I realize that. I'm aware of that. And I embrace it, and I don't give a damn. So if I see somebody being mistreated, I'm not going to, think, well, who attracted this? Who's attracting the suffering? We live in a wavelength universe of entanglement. So we're co-creators. And any type of contrast is simply something for me to learn from. So this contrast over here, somebody's beating a dog, I need to learn from it. Maybe someday I will, but for now I'm stopping it. If I see somebody being bullied, maybe someday I'll learn not to put my nose in that subject or into that situation, but for now I'm stopping it. Maybe that's Ernest's, limit. Maybe that's when I'm not crossing the divide between theory and application, but I don't care. That's my attachment. That's my story, and I'm happy with it. I'm not trying to hurt other people. I'm not trying to control situations, but I learned martial arts for a reason. To defend myself and other people who can't. So let's say Lyle and I go out drinking, which is statistically unlikely. And he's going around talking shit. He's to everybody. And then he gets in a fight. Good luck, Lyle. I wish you the best, I'm not going to let anybody kill you. The law of attraction applies to our awareness. Remember you were saying I'm hyper-aware. Yeah, sometimes I wish I wasn't because of the feelings of fear. Yeah, so there's a thing about hyper-awareness, that if it's coming from a place of peace, so why do I always teach mindfulness first? Why do I always tell people to check in first? Because if we're not operating from a place of peace, it doesn't matter what we manifest. It will create suffering for other people. Adolf Hitler was a very powerful manifester. And he had no peace. He was manic depressive. He was out of alignment. He couldn't sleep. He was very paranoid. And that led to all kinds of suffering for millions of people. But he was a powerful manifester. He was very inventive. He had original ideas. So peace is a game changer. Inner peace changes it all. You cannot be operating from step 5 without inner peace. There is no step 5 without inner peace. But people don't want to talk about that sometimes in different groups because they're cherry picking. We don't want to cherry pick. We want to apply information. And that's the biggest difference between my life now and my life at any other point. I've crossed the divide between theory and application by applying principles. I'm not just taking in information anymore. If this information doesn't serve me, well, then it doesn't really serve me. So I don't argue with people anymore. I've had people just straight up tell me some bullshit. That's fine. I'm not going to tend to your garden. I'm not going to try to control your mind. You can say whatever you want to say. I'm going to go be the example. I'm going to go show that this can be done. Facebook Live is way outside of my comfort zone. You can ask Lyle. You can ask people who know me. I don't really do this sort of thing, but now I am, because I'm applying the principles. I'm applying what it is that I'm talking about. I am the representation of the words. We can't vibrate for another human or animal. That's true. It's not our business. That's true, Jennifer. Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with you. And yet, if I see my family members being bullied, I'm going to stop it. So people can say whatever they want to. I'm not going to let that happen. Because we're in a collective consciousness. We're in a world that is connected. Quantum entanglement. We're all intimately connected in ways that you can't even imagine. So I don't separate myself. Is the dog attracting this? Why would I intellectualize that? At what point is that even helpful to me? Or is it just more mud for me to step in? At what point does the information become toxic? When you start asking yourself if a dog is attracting something. Do you see? How does that help me? How does that help me cross the divide between theory and application? How does that help me live the life that I want to live, feel how I want to feel, maximize the human experience without hurting other people? Did the dog attract it? Like, see, that's when information becomes dogmatic. That's when information becomes toxic. Oh, I know, Stacy. No, I'm not. That's not a picking thing. It was just an example that I saw in the moment. But I see those examples all the time. I hear those types of things all the time. Somebody said, Ernest, what do you think about chemtrails? What do you think about 9/11? What do you think about the assassination of Abraham Lincoln? I'm like, I don't think anything about it anymore. It doesn't help me cross the divide between theory and application anymore. It doesn't serve me. The information that I would be thinking about in regard to chemtrails isn't going to enrich my experience. I had a near-death experience. I wasn't experimenting. I was completely engrossed in drugs. And in that moment where you're feeling like this could be it, everything that is important to you comes to mind. And guess what? I didn't think about chemtrails. I didn't think about who assassinated John F. Kennedy. I didn't think about, did they land on the moon? That's going to be my last thought before I die. Fuck no. You see what's important to you in that moment. That's why death is my advisor, figuratively. Hey, death, is this important? Maybe. But let's say this was your last act on earth. Is that what you want to be doing? And this is how I proceed. This is how I make every act count. This is the warrior mentality. It has nothing to do with fighting. It has nothing to do with conflict. It has to do with conflict resolution by never attracting the conflict in the first place. So while we are getting into that abstract ideology, what do we do when we see somebody in danger? Guess what? That's never crossed my path. I've never attracted that. I don't put myself in those situations usually. What is the statistical probability of this happening in this porch? Very low. I don't put myself in those situations, quite typically, and I never end up in those situations, quite typically. We don't need to feel responsible for other people's psychological suffering. Outside of touch, nobody is doing anything to you. But if I see a woman and two men are trying to do something to her, this is an opportunity for me to learn. This contrast right here is something I need to learn from. I'll learn about it later. Right now I'm going to help her. And anybody can judge me for that based on their own opinions, based on their own views of what's right and what's wrong, but I don't exist in your box. I am the I am. I'm the creator of my reality. I take responsibility for it. The universe was showing me something. I am the universe. I'm showing myself what I need to see. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. So, I'm about 45 minutes in. Really working on not doing 2.5-hour Facebook Lives. But I have a lot to share. I disseminate information in a very clear and easy to understand way. I think if you stand by and watch something bad happen to an innocent, whatever you believe, you should help. We are all accountable, methinks. And I appreciate you sharing that opinion. I allow you to have your mind. And I'm not just going to counter it. If I don't agree with you, I'm not just going to counter it. When you express how you feel, I'm not automatically evaluating that to my own experience. It has nothing to do with me. So that was just an example. And actually, I do agree with that. We are all accountable. But we're all individuals. We all have our own minds. We're all applying what we're ready to apply as we're ready to apply it. Every time I read a powerful book, I learn something new. because the last time I missed it. I wasn't ready for that information. But when I allow, everything comes to me. I don't need to seek knowledge. Knowledge comes to me. I don't need to seek understanding. Understanding comes to me. I don't need to seek approval from other people. I just give my most authentic version of myself, and that comes to me. Deborah, yes. Absolutely. We are responsible for everything that we're creating in front of us due to our choices. We're choosing to be here. Everybody that tuned into my broadcast right now is not a victim of circumstance. I'm not a victim. You know, the person that was being attacked, there's a reason that that's happening. You know, there's choices that were made. So the person that was slowing down, you know, there were 3 guys in a car and they were looking to jump me. I know it. It's happened to me before. I can feel it. I sensed behind me, so I knew that the car was slowing down. They did a couple laps around the block to evaluate what kind of target I was. And when they passed me, I looked at them. I know what you're trying to do. And it's not going to happen. So the customer that is getting in my face, they see that I'm having no emotional reaction to their words. My breath isn't changing. I'm controlled. Or at least to them, they think I'm controlled. But it's not control. It's just letting go. I'm letting go of your psychological drama. I'm letting go of whatever you're trying to do to grab me, to stifle me. Emma, we live in a universe that is intrinsically combined. You know, trying to divide that up and find out what line is which, I just don't see how that benefits me. Did I vibe it? It doesn't matter. It's here. So I'm just going to figure out what it's trying to teach me. Do we vibe contrast? It doesn't matter. You're always going to have ups and downs in your life. Situation. Now, the trick is you don't go up and down with it. You're going to have people in your life pass away. Bad things are going to happen to people that you care about because we're in this entanglement with one another. It's a collective consciousness. Mob mentality is an example of that on a small level. You know, people after engaging in something that is quote unquote mob mentality, they're like, I don't know what came over me. You know, that's not like me. What happened? So let's look at the bigger picture. Yes, I am the master of my reality. I am the one who is making all of the choices, and outside of physical touch, yeah. So did one person cause a tsunami that killed 240,000 people? Did they collectively attract it? That's abstract. That doesn't matter to me right now. That's just trying to understand. I don't force understanding. I let it come to me from a place of clarity, from a place of space, from a place of relaxation. It's like, aha. Mob mentality is rhythmic entrainment. We're sending out energy. We're sending out vibrations. This has been observed on an electrical level. You know, we have instrumentation now that we can actually observe that we have an energy field around our body that's caused by the pulsating of the heart. It creates an electromagnetic, field. Every single atom is in a state of angular momentum, which creates a tiny little electromagnetic field. The Earth has an electromagnetic field because of what's going on in the core. That's why we could never live on Mars. There's no electromagnetic field to protect us from the sun. Anything that we did there eventually would be wiped out after, 30, 40 years. So how do we see what someone is trying to teach us? By allowing, by relaxing, from stepping back and not just riding the roller coaster. Mindfulness techniques will help wonderfully. Where am I right now? How do I feel right now? What is going on around me in my experience as it happens? Or am I constantly lost in what if? That's when information becomes toxic, when it's not serving you. So I'm going to sit here and think, did the dog attract this? Somebody's beating a dog. Did the dog attract this? Why would I do that? How does that help me? It doesn't. So I give up trying to control. And then very often, when I'm in a place of supreme peace, of relaxation, the answer comes to me without effort. I don't have to force it. I give up using force. I give up trying to understand. I'm not trying to understand anything. Willie asked me, what are you trying to do? I'm like, I'm not trying to do anything. Anything is in the mind is ego. Your likes, your dislikes, every single thought that you've ever had in terms of words is the ego. Words are just a description of reality. When you start attaching and identifying with those words as who you really are, you're completely lost in ego. I have a mind. I am not my mind. That's why I can be the master of it, because I'm able to step back from it. I'm able to not attach to even my own mind. So I don't fight with people. I'm not going to say, no, you're wrong, I'm right. I don't care. That has nothing to do with me. Good night. There'll be a replay. It's on my page, and anybody can share this if they feel inspired to do so. The mind is polarity because the synaptic connections in your brain are either firing or they're not. One or zero, firing or it's not. Some of my martial arts friends aren't going to like this, but yin-yang is an illusion. Anything you can describe is just a part of an illusion. It's a part of an attempt to describe what it is that we're observing. But in fact, what we're observing is just a very small portion of what is actually there. Yin-yang is in our minds, because our mind is fundamentally binary in the beginning. So everything is assimilated to this idea of yin-yang, good, bad, up, down, positive, negative, 0, 1. It's an illusion. But, albeit it's a very persistent illusion, so we have a choice. Do we go with it or do we go against it? I choose to go with the way that the universe works. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, I'm just rolling with it. I just follow the principles, and that's easy peasy. Morals. I can boil down all of my morals into one sentence. I just do unto others. I try to be kind. Excuse me. I don't try. I am kind with people. I remember. I check in. I remember that this is all just a part of the illusion. And now the illusion has value because I'm a creator. I assign value. I have choice. I am the I am. In the beginning. So, there's this idea of yin-yang, of balance. Balance is power. I see this in the sun. I see this in this little atmosphere that's thin, but just enough for us. It has balance. So, Naomi, I like what you're saying. I think these things are really interesting. Mine needs a masculine path. I appreciate that you think that way. I'm not going to try to change your mind. I'm not going to try to interject what I believe just because you've shared what you believe. That's how you know that my information is becoming toxic to me. When I tell other people what I want them to think. Every world war, every war that has ever been fought is because people think that they're right. It's a cycle. It's not new. If there's no change here, and there's no change here, then it's just going to be the same thing. It's just going to look a little different. Our guns are different, our weapons are different. But the mindset is still the same. So it's the same shit. They're fueling one side or the other. Civil rights didn't come about because of the conflict. There were other countries in the world that were already doing it. Slavery had been abolished in other countries way before the United States did it. It was a collective consciousness. It tipped. The force didn't cause the change. People just look at the force and they're like, oh, that's what did it, you know? Fighting did it. Arguing did it. Protesting did it. Are you sure? Why did the people protest in the first place? Because their mind had already changed. How many times did you see two people protesting and people walk from one side to the other? They're like, you know what? You're right. Let me put my picket sign down and I'm going to join you guys. You know? That doesn't happen. But collectively, the consciousness changes. Gay marriage. 20 years ago, we wouldn't be saying that. Collectively, the consciousness of humanity has changed on its own. By allowing. By connecting. Not by using force. Not by trying to do anything. So I don't go picket. This is just my way. You can go do whatever you want. I'm not trying to change you. But it's my Facebook Live, so I get to share my mind. I don't go and protest anymore. I'm not telling anybody what they should or shouldn't do. But I take responsibility for my time here on earth. So I have a Prius because I want to save on gas, because it saves me money, and I feel good when I do that. People say, well, that's a selfish motive. Well, no shit. I like feeling good. I want to feel glorious in my life. Why would I do anything else? As long as I'm not hurting other people with intention to hurt other people. Now, I can't be responsible for another person's psychological suffering. I'm not sure what you mean, Simon. No one cares. Oh my God, no one cares. What does that mean? Trinity faith. What do you mean by the word God? I mean, I appreciate you, you know, but I don't understand what that relates to specifically. So I allow. You know, if somebody wants to tell me about their religious belief, I just allow. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to try to change you. I'm no longer going door to door to spread the good news. I upset that setup. I'm done. No. I'm going to tend to my garden. And I'm going to inspire to motivate. Because I can't motivate other people. I can't change other people. I'm not going to try to force my opinions and my will on other people. I want you to be you. I want you to blossom. Or not, as the case may be. I can't control that. I just know the more I connect to the consciousness, the more I contribute, it will automatically have an effect. Sorry, I meant thank God. Oh, awesome. I was just curious. I wasn't certain what that one word meant. If someone says you are selfish, yes, why wouldn't I tend to my interests? Well, now, that's because most people, when they're tending to their own interests in such a degree, they're also quite typically taking advantage of other people in the process. You know, that antisocial behavior when you have no... and antisocial doesn't mean that you hide in a corner, according to the psychological definition, you know, in psychology. Antisocial is somebody who has no regard for society. So they just do whatever the fuck they want and hurt other people without caring. That's antisocial. I'm not that way because I follow this principle. My principle is I do no harm. I don't intentionally try to hurt anybody. Now, if I say something and somebody causes their own psychological suffering, I mean, that's on you. That's okay. That's okay, Trinity. So, when does information become toxic? When it's not serving you. Period. When did information become toxic to me? When it's not serving me. You know, I can go around all day long and be an activist, oh, we got to get involved, guys. We got to get involved, guys. Maybe. That may be true for you, but for me, I think that's a total crock of shit. When I do that, I waste my energy. When I do that, I can't focus on what I'm doing because I'm too busy focusing on what other people are or are not doing. I don't have time for that. There's 1,440 minutes in a day. I'm not going to spend a great deal of them thinking about what you're thinking about. Oh, what is Brian thinking about? Does he like me? Does he agree with me? Oh no. What? Why would I do that? I don't do that anymore because of the principles. I just follow the principles. And I was never taught principles growing up. There's a lot of young people right now, they're not being taught the principles. How can we operate with ease, with effortlessness? I have no psychological drama because I don't have the thought patterns that perpetuate them. I have immediate response to stimuli, but I don't drive it. My thoughts are creative. They're loving. They're caring. I don't spend time thinking about the same thing over and over and over. Oh, I wonder if he's mad at me. Oh, I wonder if he likes me. Oh, I wonder what so-and-so are thinking. Did they like my Facebook Live? That's insane. It's insane to tend to another person's garden in that way. So I don't do it. I just work on myself. I am the example of what I want to see in the world. I'm not trying to change you. I'm not trying to force my belief on you. I'm not trying to interject my abstract ideological beliefs on you, because all belief is just a belief. It's relative. It's changing. The things that I believed 10 years ago are different now. When I read something that says something like this, we are all mad. So first of all, the word we. Who's we? We are all mad. I'm not sure who you're referring to when people say we. I know, Emma, you're just, giving an example. So I either have to say you or I. That's the two directions I can go. Both are equally an illusion, which is why I don't spend time tending to other people's gardens. Outside of the human mind, it's non-existent. It's relative. Time relative. So when someone says, we are all mad, no, don't put me in your box. Don't go saying we and thinking that's including Ernest. Because I'm not in that, I've stepped out of that cycle. I've first stepped back to observe the cycle, and now I step out of it because it doesn't serve me. Anger doesn't serve me, so I don't get angry. Jealousy doesn't serve me anymore, so I don't get jealous. Animosity, frustration, all of these emotions no longer serve me in my experience. So I've let it go. I've surrendered to the moment that is. Right now, I have awareness on my feet as they touch the ground, as I talk to you. I hear the wind chimes in the background because I think it's beautiful music. I am intimately connected to my experience as it's happening. This is how I transcend psychological suffering, by existing in the only thing that has ever really existed, and that's the present moment. That's where all power is. When a Jehovah's Witness or a religious person comes to my door, I invite them in lovingly. Let's talk. I am a safe space for you to just be whoever you are, because all I have is love. God is love. That's not abstract to me. It's intimately connected to my attention, to my will, to my awareness. It's not abstract. It's in the moment. You can feel it right now. So they come into my house and I'm just like, yes, tell me. How do you feel? Share your love. Share what makes you feel glorious with me, please. But I don't want to know more information. You don't have to tell me anything from your books or your magazines. Tell me where you've experienced God. Tell me where you've experienced love. And then tell me how that experience has helped you transcend the divide between theory and application. You are the deliberate creator of your reality when you're being a deliberate creator. You can only be deliberate right here, right now. Otherwise, it's just abstract. And I don't operate from abstract. I just share my message. Take it, leave it. It's quite irrelevant to me. I share because it makes me feel good. I share because I'm good at it. I am an orator. I have the ability to disseminate information in a very clear and understandable way. My birthday is November 23rd. It's coming up. 38 rotations around the star. So I don't even cling to my own beliefs. I'm not even trapped by my own mind. I just allow. I relax. I enjoy. I connect to myself and those around me. Really, we have a lot of people with 11/23 birthdays. That's interesting. Tell me about the past and future in the present moment. It's always in the present moment. Yeah, you're right. Miley Cyrus. I did not know that. No, don't buy me a birthday present. I don't really collect things. I don't put a lot of value into objects. And that's just me. You can do what you want. You know, if you want a new car, buy a new car. If you want a new house, buy a new house. I am not your judge. If you wanna preach the good news of Jesus to everybody and go door to door, then I encourage you to do that. Be your authentic self. Don't let me change your mind. I don't want to control you. Those are a lot of labels, Shauna. I've given up labels. I am the I am, and I am also none of that. So, all the labels are in the ego. All the words are in the ego. Just up here. And what the mind does is that it clings to it, and it identifies with it to the point that that's our reality. I don't cling to my own mind. I don't cling to the words. I am this or that. I am all of this. I am all of that. How do I converse with negative people? How am I conversing right now? By not trying to change them. They have no effect on me. Abud, if you came into this room right now, you sat down and you started complaining, I'm just listening. I'm just an open space for you to be whoever you want to be, to say whatever you want to say. Isn't that what Jesus would do? Jesus would be loving. He would open his heart and his mind. Maybe give a really great parable to help us understand. Jesus didn't use force. So if I'm around somebody who's being overly negative, I allow them to be overly negative. And guess what? They see my love. They see my focus. They see how I'm not bothered. I'm not affected. Even my own family members have tried to trigger me. You can't. Not anymore. There's nothing you can say because it's all just bullshit. Your bullshit, my bullshit. It's all just bullshit. But what does that mean? It means that we can just live and enjoy and find quality. Quality is what we all desire. The Buddhist monk wants to meditate in a way that is quality. They want their no mind to be quality. When I do my martial art, I want it to be quality. When I do my Facebook Live, I want it to be quality. When I have a sexual experience, I want it to be quality. When I have a cup of coffee, I want it to be quality. Quality is our underlying desire, and nobody's talking about it. How do we achieve quality? Caring about what we want, focusing on what it is that brings us satisfaction in this life, without hurting other people. When you start hurting other people, now you're affecting the collective in a way that will affect the collective. I don't do that. I tend to my own garden. And guess what? It's growing. It's beautiful. It has full flowers, and I walk through that garden. And I'm aware of it. I am conscious of it. I am aware of my experience as it's happening. I've crossed the divide between theory and application. And that's what I'm here to teach. I don't want to tell you more about the ego. Go read Eckhart Tolle. I don't want to teach you about the words describing attachment. Go read Buddha. I can't say it better than Gautama Buddha. I can't. I can't talk about the ego better than Eckhart Tolle. He did a really great book. But how did I do it? How did I cross the divide between theory and application? There was a time where I allowed caring about what other people think to affect me to the point that I was committing crimes, that I was wanting to hurt other people, that it was creating psychological suffering in my experience to the point where I could not enjoy the present moment, to the point where the present moment was gone, at least gone to my awareness, because my mind was stuck in patterns. Oh, I'm not good enough. I don't know how to do this. Do they really like me? What are they thinking? What are they thinking? Oh, what does this text message mean? They're not responding. I see the little chat bubble, then it goes away. I see the little chat bubble, then it goes away. No, I'm done with that. I've upset that setup. There's no power there. I have no personal power when I'm operating from a place of fundamental weakness. So I don't. I tend to my garden. I perfect myself. If I want people to stop littering, I don't litter. If I want people to care about the environment, I shop bulk. If I care about plastics and the Dakota pipeline, I reduce the amount of plastics. Or if I buy something plastic, I make sure that it lasts as long as possible so that I'm not just buying. But this is just a reflection of my mind. It's all just relative, but I embrace it because it's mine. That's my garden. I'm going to take care of my garden. It has nothing to do with you. Why are you trying to manipulate my garden, first of all? What? And by you, I don't mean anybody in particular. Why are you trying to change me? Why are you trying to tell me that I'm wrong? So I can see in Facebook Live sometimes when I say something, people just drop their own little bits of wisdom. And that's okay. And then they do it, and they do it, and they do it. So they're just comparing what I'm saying to their construct. And that's okay, but I don't do that. I don't compare what you're saying to my construct. My construct's my construct. That's my illusion, and I'm going to tend to it. I'm going to make love to my experience. I'm going to make love to my life. I'm going to maximize the human experience. I'm going to feel good. I'm going to connect. I'm going to have loving experiences with the people around me. I'm going to enjoy everything that there is to enjoy. The sunrise, the clouds, the clear blue sky, the ocean, the mountains. You know, one of the things I've realized from traveling is one of the things I was missing being an American. I am so grateful to be an American who can travel from sea to shining sea without being hassled. I don't have to get a visa. I don't have to get a passport. I can just drive. Oh God, that makes me feel great. Thank you. I appreciate that. What does love feel like? Appreciation. Deep appreciation. The deepest appreciation. When you're looking at your child, you appreciate them even if they've broken a rule. You still love them in that moment. You're still connected to them. Now, if a parent is beating the shit out of their kids, are they loving them? Where is that love? It's abstract. It's just a word. The more abstract we get, the more the information is toxic. That's true. I only want what's best for me without hurting other people. And I inspire through my actions. That's how I raised my son, you know. That's how Shayna has raised our son. We don't tell him what to do. We don't ground him. We don't beat him. We don't say, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. You can't eat certain foods. I've given up trying to control. I just show him another way. Hey Kobe, I'm going to have this wrap with spinach and vegetables and I'm going to feel great. What are you having? A Pop-Tart? Cool. Let's compare who feels better. And then he just learns on his own. He sees it on his own because I'm setting an example. But I can't do that. And I've even seen it for myself. Whenever I was saying something and not doing it, my son didn't respond. In fact, he would probably call me out on my bullshit. I needed that. I learned from that contrast. So, information becomes toxic when it's not serving us. When we're just accumulating more and more and more, but we're not crossing the divide between theory and application. So here's some nuggets. How do we do it, Ernest? How do we do it? First of all, by tapping into the present moment. How do we do that, Ernest? By checking in. How do we do that, Ernest? Well, I check in a lot of ways. I used to use the quote card. I used to use the little book where it has all my quotes in it. I would wear jewelry that reminded me that I'm in a body, that I have flesh, that I have feeling, that I can connect to. Okay, good night. You gotta go. I'll see you next time. So I'm gonna wrap this up here soon. I've said plenty. So I'm gonna tend to my own garden. I'm gonna perfect my own wisdom in my own mind, and I'm gonna love. I'm going to connect in the present moment. So, Ernest, how do I do it? How do I do it? How do I connect to the present moment? Take a deep breath. Maybe 2, maybe 3. Say a mantra. I am here. I am now. The past is just a story I'm telling myself. The future is at best wishful thinking. There is always just the now. There is always just right here, right now. How am I doing it? By telling myself it's true. Now, that's a tool that you can use, but later you won't need to use that tool. You won't have to replace internal dialogue with other types of internal dialogue. I am not a positive thinker because I'm not a negative thinker. I operate from a place of clarity, so I'm just a creative thinker. I have all of these great ideas. Oh, how can I help you? You know, I have all of these great ideas of how I can help other people make money and maximize what they're good at. You know, a lot of people can make money just doing what they love, because when you do what you love, you don't have to convince yourself to do it. You don't have to try. You don't have to force. I love sharing what's worked for me. I love disseminating information because I'm good at it. There's no ulterior motive. I do it because it feels good. I do it because it enriches my experience. I do it because I feel glorious. I want to feel glorious in every moment of my life, and I do it by checking in. What do I see right now? What do I hear? I hear the wind. I hear the wind chimes. I can hear the wind going through the trees right now. Going through the wind chimes right now. What do I smell? I can still smell the ocean even though the humidity has dropped. I smell salt in the air. I can taste it a little bit. Especially the contrast from coming from Colorado, where there is none of that. What do I feel on my skin? The wind. The colder temperature because it dropped. It's really chilly in Florida today. Where are my bones inside of my body? Are they aligned? That's interesting. Where is my breathing? Where is my energy? Where is my attention? Where is my tension? Is there tension in my temples? Let me relax that. Is there tension in my neck? Let me relax that. I've done that for a second. Holy shit, I'm tuned in. There's stuff happening all around me. There's shadows, there's light. there's feeling, there's love. Do you see it? Or are we just thinking about not thinking, or thinking about thinking something else? Are we stuck in a monkey mind with words all the time? No balance. I teach balance. But how do we don't get attached emotionally by the opposite happening out there? Because, Rohan, you give up trying to control, because control is an illusion. First, we recognize the illusion. And then we decide, does this illusion serve me or not? Does trying to change people or allowing myself to be affected emotionally serve me? Or does that stifle me? Is that mud? Do I want to run through mud? No. So I tend to my own garden and I inspire. Rohan, when you post things about the things that you're doing, about what's worked for you, you're just inspiring. You're not trying to change other people, because when you change other people, or when you attempt to, then that means that you're attaching to your own mind. You're clinging to what you think is true. And that's not fair to somebody else's experience. If they want to believe in the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, then they should. If they want to believe in whatever dogmatic religion they want to, then they should. If they want to believe in Scientology, then they should. That's what they want. That's where they're at. That's their process. I can't judge them. I can't say because they're acting from a place of supreme unconsciousness that in 24 days they won't be acting from a place of pure being, of pure consciousness, of pure relaxation. How can I say that? Everybody has the propensity to act with volition, choice, and will right now. Every single one of us. Every single one of us has the same access to source, to power, to God, to energy, to everything that ever was, the great Tao. So there's a lot in the martial arts world where they're just talking, accumulating. If I'm doing a martial art and it's not serving my life right now, what am I doing? Why would I do something every day for 2 hours that's not serving me now? So my martial art serves me because I find peace in the movement. I can focus on my body and my energy, and I don't need to worry about wrong. I don't need to worry about right. I don't need to worry about comparing or contrasting myself to somebody else's expectations. That's living in their illusion. Fuck that. I'm done with that. I'm not affected by anybody else. When I turn on the news, it's just news. It's just information. I don't let it affect me, and quite typically I don't even watch it. Billions of dollars have been spent on ways to address my subconscious and suggest to my subconscious and change me on the level of the subconscious. Nah. I'm done with that too. Bye, Linda. All right, so I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to be here every day until I feel like not being here every day. At the beginning of the year 2017, I was listening to some of my teachers. I was in a private lesson with David Dorian Ross, and I was telling him how easy it is for me to find peace. And he was unimpressed. He said, "What are you going to do with that? How are you going to share that?" So at the beginning of 2017, I said, this is the year. That's my New Year's resolution. I'm going to get out there, I'm going to share, and I'm going to be that artist that just makes his art in the sand with a rake, knowing that the tide is going to wash it away. You know, these Facebook videos, they'll be forgotten. I'll upload it to YouTube, but eventually, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, it doesn't matter. I'm not trying to achieve a goal. I'm sharing for the sake of sharing. And that's what a lot of people who have this dogmatic approach, they can't believe it. They're like, so somebody is actually not trying to do anything except for share? Well, that's why I have 7 classes for free every week. I have a subscription that is the cost of 2 cups of coffee because the website costs money. I have to pay for that. I'm not going to take a loss, but it's insanely cheap. All of these Facebook Lives I upload to my website. I'm doing segments in the Warrior in the Garden group that is exclusive to that group that will never cost anybody money. So people said that it was a scam. You know, that's why they removed me from the group, because they said that free things are most often a scam. How? I'm giving a free 45-minute class. It's just a class. We just talk and we go back and forth and we interact. Where is the bamboozle? So I'm telling you now, there are a couple things that are for profit on my website. Because I need to pay for the website. I have to pay for the domain space. I have to pay for the space to upload my videos. So I have balance. How much am I offering for free? Right now, maybe the free is overshadowing the monetary. But that's okay for now. You know, I have money. I'm not trying to dig into anybody's pockets. But I do believe in energetic exchange. So the coaches out there that are taking money for their services will know shit. It takes time. Now, I don't know anybody who has ever done one-on-one sessions. But that takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot. And you're right, Shauna. I shouldn't have to justify, but I'm choosing to. You know, I've made that choice just to be transparent. Because I believe in authenticity through transparency. I hit rock bottom. You know, I was doing cocaine every day. I was lost in the illusion. At the movie theater, I was immersed in other people's illusions. I cared about whether they liked me to the point where it caused me suffering. And it destroyed my relationships with other people because I was lost in the illusion. When I first started working at the movie theater, I told the person, the manager there, everything about myself because I was clinging and attaching to this informational stage. Not anymore. My website is the Elegant Crane, or just elegantcrane.com. Elegant Crane is the name that my Chinese teacher and my Tai Chi class gave to me. Her. I'm probably pronouncing that terribly, but it means elegant or unhurried crane. Of course I was, Pauline. I came from the same illusions. You know, I came from the same systems of control. That's why I speak from a place of authority. You know, when Abraham is giving talks, they can't tell us what it was like to overcome because they never overcame. They can just provide abstract ideological examples. That's just a bunch of maybe. And that's why people are connecting to my message, because I give more than just the abstract. So there were people where I would think about them all day. You know, what are they thinking? What are they thinking? Oh, do they like me? You know, why aren't they responding to my text fast enough? Oh, I see the little chat bubble, but it went away. I see the little chat bubble, but it went away. Fuck that. No. No, 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 no. Not anymore. I have transcended psychological suffering. That doesn't mean that I don't have immediate response to stimuli. It means that the thought patterns in my mind no longer work that way anymore. I have gained enough momentum in my experience that my mind, it is beautiful most of the time. It's creative most of the time. When I'm walking, I'm tapped in, I'm tuned in, I'm turned on to everything around me. Fox walking, I created a meditative technique because it's what I was doing. I was already doing it, so I just shared it with other people. I walk all the time. That's an opportunity for me to tune into my experience as it's happening now. And for those out there that aren't familiar with the power of now, all of your memories, anytime you're thinking about the past, you're doing it now. Anytime you're just totally engaged in your mind and the thought patterns that are repeating over and over and over and over, you're doing it now. There's no virtue in struggling or suffering. However, people can identify better with a legit example. I can give more specific techniques of how I did things because I can give an example. It doesn't make me better. I'm not better than anybody else. In fact, I align myself underneath. I'm not better. I'm on par with everybody else. There's just one or two things that I've managed to apply to every single thing that I do in my life. Watching the sunrise every morning for a year in 2011. That's a technique I can share. That doesn't make me better. I share that experience. How did I do it? And you know what? You can take it. You can leave it. You can say I'm full of shit. You can give me a thumbs down. You can give me a mad face. You can send me hate messages. I'm going to keep doing it. Because it makes me feel good to share what's worked for me. Because people tell me and they show me how this has helped. So I can continue to disseminate abstract ideology and information, or I can share my examples. How did I do it? People want to know, Ernest, how do I overcome the ego? How do I dissolve the illusion? How do I transcend from information, to actually doing it? Well, the way that I did it was mindfulness, was checking in. Somebody challenged me and said that I cannot check in every day. And then I had a teacher to tap me on the shoulder and say, Ernest, just peace. Remember where you're at. Just relax, just peace. We are our own guru. You were born into this universe, from the universe, knowing everything you ever needed to know. But then social conditioning steps in and we forget. You came into this world knowing how to breathe from your abdomen. As soon as you started sitting, you figured out how to sit up straight. You had perfect posture. When you started walking, you had the perfect anterior pelvic tilt. You walked perfectly. You were heel to toe. And then all of a sudden we realized, or somebody told us that this is cool. And then we started doing that. So one of the things that I've stopped doing I've stopped doing a lot of things. I'm not justifying my experience. I'm not justifying my struggles. Everybody has struggles. Mine aren't better. Mine aren't worse. I'm not better than anybody. I do have a little bit of resistance to any time somebody says that they're better somehow. You know, I read on another coach's page, I was looking at this coach's page, and they said that people who have accumulated wealth have a higher consciousness. They have an elevated consciousness. Are you sure? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe we're all equal. Maybe we're all just trying to eke out satisfaction and quality in our lives. Maybe that's all we all really want, is just quality, however we define that, as long as we're not hurting other people. I throw that in there because that's my principle. I operate from that. So I'm really glad that Buddha shared. I'm really glad that Jesus shared. I'm really glad that Lao Tzu shared. I'm really glad that every day or every other day Deepak Chopra shares. The Dalai Lama has Facebook Lives because he shares. Many of the masters are sharing, and then just leaving it to the wind. They're not exercising control. They're not trying to change people. Do you see? There's a difference. I just want to share what's worked for me. And maybe it won't work for you. Maybe that's not the tool to put in your toolbox. There's only one type of love. And that's the love of deep appreciation that is intimately tied to your awareness, to your attention, to your volition, and to your will. I can only love now. Anytime we talk about power, it can only be right now. That's the only place that power exists. So there is no other type of love than self-love. It has to operate from inside out. If you feel gratitude for another person, you feel gratitude. You are gratitude. You are love in that moment. There's no other type of love than self-love. When we start dividing love up, it gets abstract. It becomes ideology. It becomes words that we place here and there. Oh, I love coffee. I love my dog. I love this. I love that. Well, right now, where is your attention? Where is your volition? Where is your mind right now? I think there's a lot of people that can feel right now, my love is in this broadcast. My love is into all of the people right now who are listening, who are intimately connected with my words. So, the only thing that I can't recommend, the only thing that I would like to interject, is that we don't get down on ourselves. That's like the Titanic hitting the most giant iceberg and then speeding up so that it can sink faster. Let's not tell ourselves a story that doesn't serve us. You are good enough. You are the you are, just as I am the I am. We are co-creators, co-manifestors, co-actualizers. We are all beautiful minds. We are all beautiful. Of course. So just stop telling yourself that you're not. And how do you do that? I didn't stop drinking soda by, I'm going to stop drinking soda. I just drank more water. And I felt good from that water, and I followed that feeling. You can only tune into feeling by tuning into the present moment. Right here, right now. The best we can do is be aware of it, to be tuned into it, to be fully immersed in this thing that we're calling life. Right? That's my message. That's all I have to share. I just have a lot of examples of how I've done it. Like I said, I only have 2 things or 3 things at best to really share. But what I do is I explain how I've applied those 2 or 3 things. So I'm not going to just sit here and just add to your information bank. I mean, I could do that all day long. Okay, so I'm going to hit the finish button. If you guys want to share this around Facebook, cool. Am I trying to get attention? I'm not trying anything. I'm just allowing. I know that my message will garner some sort of attention, and that's good for me, because I care about sharing this message. I care about being a force of change in the world without trying to change anything. I just allow. I just open. I just practice from my own authenticity. Somebody told me once upon a time that we have these different versions of ourselves. We have the person in front of Lyle. We have the person that we are at work. We have the person that we are around our family. Fuck that. No, I don't do that anymore. There's just one Ernest. It's an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. And I love it. I love my garden. It's growing. It's beautiful. I have lots of flowers, lots of trees, lots of light, lots of sun, lots of clouds, lots of rain. It's a beautiful mind. And don't we just innately want to share what we find beautiful? People who know me know that I'm always, taking pictures of the sunrise because it makes me feel beautiful. Because I am that. I connect to it. Smooth E. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to hit the finish button. I will be back tomorrow morning. I have a long list of topics. There's so many things that I can talk about because I have interjected my principles into every single aspect of my life. There is absolutely no aspect of my life that I just go, only human. And that's just me. I don't do it. No, not only human. I am human. That's a different entry point, right? This is all here for me to enjoy. The wind, the air, the butterflies, the hummingbirds I was watching yesterday, the turtle that I was watching, the dolphins that I was watching. Sure, Emma, I actually did a video, and you can go to my YouTube where I talk about how trust is back to back. Trust is not you follow me or me follow you. It's like two warriors who enter a battle outnumbered. And this came from my teacher, by the way. So most of the things I say are not original to me, and they're not patent pending. The wisdom of the ancient masters is the wisdom of the ancient masters. I have seen everything under the sun, and behold, it's all vanity. It's all striving for wind, King Solomon. So trust is back to back. You know, we're two warriors and we're back to back. I cover this 180 degrees, you cover that 180 degrees. I trust you to cover my back. You trust me to cover your back, and we work together. Mutual, right. Trust for some people is, oh, just follow me, trust me blindly. All I need is your credit card number, sign up now. Emma, I don't know how to find me on YouTube. I think it's just my name, Ernest Krolik, and you can just find it there. Any of the videos on my website will connect to YouTube. So I have a webinar coming up, and it is on a topic that is escaping me at the moment, but I'm sure it's very enlightening. It's all about the blueprint, of course. I'm just explaining how the universe works. I'm explaining the blueprint for everybody so they know that they can either work with it or go against it. So I have a webinar coming up. I have a class later today. You don't need to go to my website. You don't have to enter your email if you don't want to. The ID, you just go to zoom.us/join, enter the ID that I've already provided, and you can skip my website altogether. That's a way that I prove that I have no ulterior motives, because you don't even have to go to my website. Control dramas, that's right. Oh, that's some juicy stuff. I think there's a lot of people who are really going to enjoy talking about control dramas. Because that is the illusion. That's one of the fundamental aspects of the construct that's being delivered to us. Control, control, control. Give up trying to control. Surrender and allow. So classes today, I have that posted in the Warriors group, the list of all of the classes that I'm doing. 45 minutes, I go over that, usually an hour. Sometimes an hour and a half. No charge. Just come in, take what works for you, throw the rest away. We don't have to argue. That's okay, Sharon. I can't see who sends angry faces, so I don't acknowledge it. I'm not going to give that energy. Yeah, I have a group called Warriors in the Garden Group, and we're a good group. We all have, I think, the same idea on our mind. We want to consciously create. That implies consciousness. And we tend to our gardens, and we share what's worked for us. And there's not that many rules to this group except for please be kind. That's all I want. Hashtag no bullies. But you can post whatever you want to. If it's about your religion, post that. You know, I'm an open space. We're open spaces. We're not going to argue. You know, you can post something that's not the teachings of Abraham. You can post the teachings of Abraham. You can post the teachings of Lao Tzu. You can post the teachings of Dyer, of whoever you find interesting. Please do. We are not dogmatic, you know. We're just a group. We want to inspire one another. We want to share what's worked for us. We want to engage. That's it. It's a group with far less rules. Because rules are a box. And usually these rules are stemming from a dogmatic ideology. You must think like I think or I'm going to kick you out of the group. You know, someone posted about ayahuasca. And there was an uproar. Why not just let this person say what they have to say without automatically, connecting it to what you think? You know, they have an experience with ayahuasca. Let them have an experience with ayahuasca. But what other people do is, Abraham does not teach the use of ayahuasca. This is bad. I'm contacting admins. What the fuck? Why? That doesn't make any sense. How is that person learning from your shitty example? There's a disconnect there between theory and application. We can see it. All right, I'm out of here. I love you guys. Thank you for letting me share. I give props to the teachers who have taught me. Ma Long, Lao Tzu, David Dorian Ross has taught me a great deal. There's nothing new under the sun. You know, the things that I'm saying are not new. They're not patent pending. They don't belong to Ernest. You know, I'm not that original. But how I have done it is my story. That's all I have to share. That's really all that unique. How did Ernest do it? Well, I can share that. Okay? All right. So if you want to be in the group, hit me up. Otherwise, I'm probably just going to add you anyway, and if you want to leave, you can. The sprinklers. Trying to keep your grass green in Florida. Know you, know me. Just peace. Just peace. Here. Here. And everything out here will just reflect your internal state of consciousness. See you guys next time.